I do like answering questions, especially when they're questions that are broad or don't really have one specific answer, because then it gives everybody a chance to pile on with either a text response or a video response with their own take. And some of these questions are really thought provoking. And I got a series of three of them here from Frank Angelone. It's either Frank Angelone or Angeloni. I'm not exactly sure how to say the last name. Either way, good questions. Number one, will technology reach a point where a wall is hit and nothing else can be created? Everything will have been done. No. It'll never happen. Guaranteed it will never happen. And anybody who says otherwise doesn't really understand the nature of technology. Faster, more pervasive, and that would be that you just kind of take it for granted. It's just there. I mean, you just know it's around you. I mean, imagine walking into a place and not being able to access the internet. It's a foreign concept at this point in time. Sorry for my voice cracking there, but it's just everywhere. It's a given. I mean, if you would have told me when I was a kid that I would be able to access all this information and I'd be able to access it from the palm of my hand instantaneously, pipe dream. Impossible. So every year we receive something different. Technology evolves. And hopefully it does become more pervasive and certainly more affordable. Everybody will be able to, at some point, enjoy the same experiences. We're not there yet. But I guarantee, with human spirit at the helm, there's always going to be something new. I'll be interested in your take on that. Feel free, again, to leave a video response on these questions, all of them, or just one of them in particular. Number two, do you feel people really appreciate technology and the efforts that go into creating something innovative? I do, but at the same time, I realize that everybody's a critic, and the internet has given rise to a number of people who think they know what they're talking about. These people who believe they know everything, when in fact they do not, and usually illustrate their own ignorance pretty clearly. It usually happens around spirited issues like religion, politics, even technology in general. A lot of perspectives get thrown into the mix, and people all think that they're right. But it kind of becomes obvious that some of them are not. Still, they have an opportunity to share their thoughts. And I think, as individuals, at least here in America, we are very egocentric. We want things on our terms. So, for instance, the iPhone, for example, just to bring this out as an example again. Some people are upset because this only runs on AT&T. And in their opinion, it should run on every network. It just doesn't work that way. Here's another example. Instant messaging. I believe that it doesn't matter what the protocol is. I'm not going to bucket you as an MSN friend or a Windows Live friend, a Yahoo friend, an ICQ friend, a Google Talk friend, or Jabber friend. I'm not going to put you in these buckets. You're just a connection. And I don't care what protocol you use to communicate with me. It's kind of stupid for us to, expect that everybody's going to use one service or another. We just want to connect with everybody, our connections, our friends. And, that's my perspective on the matter. You may have a completely different perspective. Maybe you think one instant messaging client is the one that rules them all. But we take these technologies for granted now. I mean, to not have an instant messenger on the desktop, it's a foreign concept. Some people don't. But for instant communication, that's now something I take for granted. Much like email. I take it for granted. I assume it's going to be there. Much like I said with the first question. It's just there. And I don't think about the power that it wields over me and certainly over the world. So I appreciate technology, but I also know I take it for granted. Knowing that it's there, knowing that I have opinions on it, knowing that I can be egocentric as a human being, expect things to work the way I want them to work. That's probably a very Amerocentric point of view, and I'm willing to own that. I'm American, so I think not enough praise is given to the people who make these efforts. So if you're going to complain about something, at least offer a suggestion or a solution, a workaround. And I'm very careful about this when a developer releases something new and I take a look at it. It's not that great. I may rip it apart, but I'll tell them exactly why it isn't good or it could be better. Give them a solution. So when you complain about something, at least give them a solution. Give them something that they could look at and go, oh, okay, I get it. Give them an out. That's showing your appreciation. So while I've complained about instant messaging clients not working with one another, I've also offered suggestions and solutions, specifically to the people responsible for promoting those separate brands. Bring them all together. It's not that hard to do. It's been done before. My point is, don't just complain. Offer suggestions. Number 3, what about technology is important to you, and what is it that makes you wanting more? It's changed over time. Of course, as I've grown older, I have different needs, different things that excite me. I think the bottom line is discovering what a piece of software can do for me, or the world, or hardware, or a service, something that I couldn't do before. And it's always been that way. I've gone through these epiphanies. I'll never forget the first day that I used email. And I realized some of you grew up with it, but I didn't. And in 1991, 92, sat down in front of a computer terminal, I keyed in a message, and it was sent to someone who was sitting like 3 feet away. It was the coolest thing. And that kind of excitement is what I see and what I try to surround myself with. That's happiness. And I don't know why. I think it's the power of communications, the power of change. Now, this is something that I've made very much a part of my annual conference, GnomeDex. It's going into its 9th year. I've given it a subtitle of Human Circuitry, and where technology meets humanity. This nexus right there in the middle. And that's what defines us, or is beginning to define us and change our world. Technology in and of itself is not always bad, but it could be used for evil things, certainly. I mean, email is awesome, but there are spammers out there. The web is great, but there's some really nasty websites out there. You kind of have to take the bad with the good, with the hope that the good will far outweigh the bad. And it's the good of technology that kind of keeps me excited about it in general. So Frank, thank you for the list of questions. And hopefully you will correct me on the pronunciation of your last name there. Anybody is free to post a video response, your take on these questions. Will technology reach a point where a wall is hit and nothing else can be created? Do you feel people really appreciate technology and the efforts that go into creating something innovative? And what about technology is important to you, and what is it that makes you wanting more? Leave a comment. That's all you got to do. My email address is chris@pirillo.com. Feel free to drop me a line. If you've got other general questions to ask, good questions that I would answer, I'll give you my opinion. Doesn't always have to be about hardware and software. I mean, these are bigger topics that spur conversations. What do you think? Leave a comment. That's all you got to do. Continue the conversation. He started it, not me. I'm just continuing it. That's all I'm doing. There's plenty of conversations happening over at geeks.pirillo.com. Most of them related to technology or anything geeky. And of course, we also have this chat room, which may or may not be moderated, but it's always a part of the live video feed. Whether I'm here or not, I'm holding onto the chair here, and people ask me about this chair all the time. It's the geekiest chair I've ever owned, and I've owned it for quite a while. Done a video on that. That's a completely different topic. So feel free to stop by, and even if I'm not in this chair, there are people that are in their chairs, assumedly, down as a part of the chat room in the video feed, going out over the web 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, typically talking tech. Oh, at live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.